information and great place to be for the traders who want to really get just the tightest information and the least amount of time. So I appreciate everything you're doing, David. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Yeah. Thank you for being here.
Okay, let me introduce myself. I'm Richard Friesen. I'm the founder of the Mind Muscles Academy. I've traded on the floors of the CME, the CBOT, and was director of the Pacific Stock Exchange, where I built Trade Management LLC. And it was one of the few consistently profitable options and futures trading firms. You can see me here with the old CRT monitors and a receding hairline, which, by the way, just keeps receding. I'm also author of the book, A Private Conversation with Money, which deals with the hidden money mind traps that few traders are aware of, let alone deal with. I've left time in this presentation for questions, so please type in any questions or any pushback or challenges at any time, because often the questions and conversations that are produced produce sometimes some of the most interesting things. So feel free to do that. And I'm looking for my chat box and I don't see it. David, are you going to be there during this presentation?
You can hit just Alt H on your keyboard and it should pop up.
Alt H?
Yeah.
Alt H. There we go, chat. Okay, so I got it. So again, so if you have any questions or comments, feel free to add them. So I'm horrified to find that as traders resolve their negative trading behaviors, they're able to execute their profitable trading strategy consistently, but something is still missing. Many traders have the knowledge, skills, and strategies. They know what to do, but somehow their equity curve does not reflect this. So the question is, what's going on here? I'm going to invite everyone here to slow down a bit after trying to get in all the knowledge and information that is available to you. And just pay attention to your own self-awareness as we touch on mindset issues. We're shifting the focus from knowledge and skills to awareness of your mindset. And we're going to build on the previous presentation that just touched on money mindset issues. So take a breath, become present here, slow down as we explore your internal mindset. There is hope. And if you recognize one or more of these states, welcome to the club. Making impulse trades, missed trades, overtrading, repeating the same errors, stress, fear of loss, jumping from system to system, not disciplined, letting big losses run, feeling stuck, fear of failure, cutting your winners short, lack of confidence, ruled by emotion, afraid to lose money, afraid to pull the trigger, and self-sabotage. Which one of these do you recognize as an issue in your trading? And you can enter it into the chat box, and I will take a look in just a minute. So what we find is that the traders that come to me will often say all of these, or we just had a comment, many. So what would we like instead? We all know the pain. We all know the repeated behaviors, but let's take a look for a moment. What would we like? And this is the answer that I get from my clients. Enjoying the power of discipline, self-mastery, the challenge, cutting losses, letting profits run, trading with focus and flow, joyful trading, increasing size, consistent profitability, professional trading, free from financial worries, managing risk, calm and relaxed, loving the challenge, the joy of discipline, executing your strategy, financial freedom, self-confidence, real-time self-awareness, and feeling great, trading with persistence and resilience. Which one of these stands out for you as something that you would like more of? Take a note of it, and if you like, you can put it into the chat box. So then the question is, how do we get from here to here? In my work with hedge fund managers, independent traders, the problem is deeper than just willpower or discipline. Success lacks a solid foundation. Here's the most typical equity curve of traders that come to me before they join the Mind Muscles Academy. The most frequent equity curve is steady small gains followed by sudden losses. This pattern can be seen daily, weekly, and even longer term. Do you recognize this pattern? I find that there are traders who come to me who will spend several months learning, slowly building equity, and then something goes wrong. A trade goes bust. Something happens. They cancel a stop. They're losing more money. They want to make it back. And then hell breaks out and they lose or even blow out of a trading account. What is going on here? I am proposing that the problem isn't discipline, willpower, or determination. It's much deeper. There are many mindsets that sabotage our trading. But the one we're going to talk about today is our relationship with money. Trading is all about money. One singular goal. And I'm going to posit that one anchor to success is our relationship with money. Don't believe me? Well, I didn't believe this either until I built a trading firm using my own capital. About 1/3 of the traders I hired would make great money with minimal risk. 1/3 would do okay, not great, but do okay. And 1/3, with all the training and support I gave them, would come up with a flat or losing P&L. They all had the same markets and trading. What was the difference? So before I go on, any questions or comments? And you can type them into the chat box and I'll continue. And you can type your comments in as we go on, and I'll stop because again, questions and comments is where sometimes some of the best stuff comes up. So I'm going to tell you 3 stories of 3 different traders. And they were either flat or losing a little money. They were intelligent. They had all the capabilities and training. So I brought in a hypnotherapist to see what we could find out. Danny was a second-generation American. His father worked 2 and 3 jobs to save enough money to send him to one of the best schools in America. Eventually, his dad managed a small plant and made $125,000 a year. Danny appreciated and loved and respected his father and all the hard work he did to make his life better. But in the deepest part of his subconscious, there was a voice. And that voice said, if you make more than $125,000 easily, it shows your dad was a fool to work so hard. Because of this deep voice, Danny couldn't just make more than $125,000. But once this came up under hypnosis, then he went on to double and triple that income. Sam grew up in the Deep South under a generational poverty. He was the first of his clan to attend college. By a fluke, a distant college friend invited him to the floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange where I was building a trading firm. After a quick introduction, I interviewed Sam and hired him as a clerk with a path to becoming a trader. As I hoped, Sam did very well after 6 months of training, and I gave him a badge and trading capital. But after Sam saw the zeros building up in his checking account, something happened. He started giving it all back. Under hypnosis, it came up that his family and extended relatives were part of the clan whose identity was rooted in their poverty. Where he grew up, the family was all everyone had. And a subconscious voice said, if you make money, you're no longer part of the family and you're on your own. With this awareness, we devised strategies to both be successful and keep the bonds to his clan. Once the strategy took hold, Sam's equity took off. My trader Bob was dubious about hypnotherapy. He reluctantly agreed to 3 sessions. As you might guess, those who resist hypnotherapy are often the ones that succumb the easiest, and Bob was no exception. This was the easiest of all discoveries. Bob's younger brother had severe neurological handicaps. Bob had been jealous of the attention his mom had given to the younger brother, and he still carried that resentment. He knew that if he started making a lot of money, his mom would come to him and start asking for financial contributions to help out with his younger brother. To avoid adding to his resentment by giving his money away, he just didn't make it. I have analyzed over 2,000 trader personality assessments. I've trained hundreds of traders and privately coached dozens more. I have never, ever, not once, have a trader come to me and say that their biggest issue is a conflict with money, success, and wealth. They all say, "Oh no, I know what I want. I know I want to be successful. I know I want to be wealthy." But most traders, both independent and professional, do not believe me when I suggest that a conflicted relationship with money is sabotaging their profits. However, as we work together to understand how they sabotage their trading profits, a picture emerges about their conflicted relationship with money. I estimate that about 70% of the dozens of traders, both independent and professional, I've coached are impacted with subroutines running in their brain about money and wealth. So this is why I'm having this conversation with you about money. Money just isn't the metric for trading success. Trading is directly measured by money and profits. If a trader has a conflicted relationship with money, it will impact trading success. On our path to trading mastery, it's helpful to understand what levels of change we need. For example, when we start trading, we need a lot of knowledge about the markets we trade, applications, brokerage accounts, and even asset symbols. Next, we need to develop the skill in understanding how the markets we trade operate and how to use the applications and indicators. Next, we need to know how to execute our strategy with consistent trading behaviors. Our beliefs about how we will make money, how we relate to the markets, and what edge we have will determine our trading behaviors. Do we believe in ourselves? Finally, our identity drives everything. Are we competent? Do we deserve success? Do we always screw up? Do we judge ourselves along the learning curve? What kind of person are we? We are going to focus on the 2 foundational supports for trading mastery in this presentation of beliefs and identity. Our agenda today is to talk about 3 money mind segments, and these are just the major issues that keep coming up with my coaching clients and the students at Mind Muscles Academy and make significant impact on trading profits. That is our wealth relationships, our internal wealth thermostat, and delivering value. Addressing these issues requires moving through a lot of material. So to get the most out of it, eliminate distractions, turn off the phone and email, and close the door as we move through this hour together. First, Let's look at wealth relationships. You can type into the chat box a word or two that describes the feeling you get from this picture. I'll give you a moment. Most people looking at this picture will describe a social condition without any words, without any humans. Just pieces of frosted and clear glass will give the image and conjure up a feeling for many of us. How do our brains, even from different cultures, make similar interpretations? It turns out that we're hardwired from our primitive tribal ancestors. Now, stay with me while we build a trading foundation for trading issues. A deer looks around, sees other deer that look like her, and she feels safe and goes back to eating grass. We as humans have the same pattern recognition DNA for safety as do our primitive ancestors. We all want to be connected to our community. We all want to belong. When I tell my wife that we've been invited to a dinner party, what is the first thing she asks me? When I go to a business meeting, I want to dress like everyone else, and there's good reason for this. The primitive parts of our brain want to feel safe. We all want to belong and be accepted. Differences from our community, from those we care about, trigger survival mechanisms and create survival stress. Not rational, but true. No matter what your political identity is, you know that politics has become very unsafe. As a trader, you, by the very nature, represent capitalism. This has an impact on you if you sympathize with the positive intent of the anti-capitalists or believe that capitalism is the best strategy we have as humans. But how does this cultural energy impact you? And now, don't just dismiss it out of hand. Are you able to stay in your community? Are you able to say, I am a capitalist who believes in free markets? What might happen if you did? Your goal as a trader puts you in significantly different wealth status than your family and friends, and this can be a subconscious drag. I'm going to give you free access to our online money course with an assessment that'll give you a wealth relationship score and an exercise to reframe your relationships. You can't change your behavior without impacting your identity. Change your identity, and behaviors and beliefs change by themselves. So I'm going to look at comments or questions so far. And we'll keep going, and feel free to type in comments or questions that you might have. I have a personal experience with an internal wealth thermostat that I want to share with you. Everyone has a thermostat. Its settings can be changed from week to week and year to year. Wherever your own thermostat is set, it's okay. Higher isn't better, lower isn't worse. But the important point is to know where it is. I discovered mine when a voice woke me up in the middle of the night. You can discover yours intentionally. We have exercise to help uncover this awareness in our Mind Conversations with Money course, which I'll give you free access to at the end. My story is that 1988, I started trading on my own trading firm and had been trading for several years. It was the middle of the night in April of 1995 that I awoke with a start. A voice, not mine, said, "Rich, you're only worth $200,000 a year." I heard these words as clearly as could be. As I say these words now, the hair still stands up on the back of my head as I recall that night. I sat up in bed. It was 3 a.m. My wife was sleeping peacefully beside me, and no one else was in the room. Where did that voice come from? So I got up, showered, dressed, and drove to the option floor of the Pacific Stock Exchange in San Francisco. I owned a seat there as an independent market maker. And when I got there, the doors were still closed, and I sat on the floor and waited. First, some background. After trading successfully for a Chicago arbitrage firm for 4 years, I bought my own seat on the Pacific Stock Exchange and went to work for myself. The first year I was very careful. I didn't have hundreds of millions of dollars in capital now that I was trading for my own account. Carefully, cautiously, I made $125,000 the first year. The next year I cleared 150, the third 175. And the following years I pegged out at $200,000 a year. And that was until 1995. That year, something very different happened. I was trading Micron options, and Micron was on an upward tear with exploding option volumes. There were only 4 market makers trading Micron regularly. The profits were pouring in. I couldn't help but make money. And by the middle of February, my account was up $200,000. In just 2 months, I had made as much as I normally make in a year. At the end of February, however, my account was still at $200,000 and the profit opportunities continued. At the end of March, Micron's volatility was increasing. The stock was going higher and the option opportunities were growing. But my account was still up only 200,000. I would make 5,000, lose 3,000, make 4, lose $2,000 a day. And that brings us to April of 1995. For all the opportunity in the pit, my account profits had not budged. I was still up only $200,000. And that is when I heard the voice in the middle of the night. Rich, you're only worth $200,000 a year. As I mentioned, I got to the exchange floor early, so early that morning that the doors were still locked. When they were opened, I went to the deserted pit and did something I had never done before. I stood in the best spot that would be between the 2 busiest brokers and right in front of the exchange's order book official. In this spot, I could hear what was going on, and that gave me the first crack at orders. Now, you need to understand that on a trading floor, no one owns a spot. It is appropriated by the toughest and most aggressive risk takers. They keep their alpha male spots by staying on top of the social hierarchy with various social pressures. Some command respect. Others rule by fear and keeping their place as a bully. The other market makers started drifting in. It was a few minutes before the opening bell at 6:30. No one gave much thought to my new position. The guy who always stood there just stood beside me chatting. When the opening bell went off, he nudged me and stepped into his spot. I did not move. It was like a jolt of electricity went through the pit. A pushing match ensued. I pretended I was wearing concrete boots. The order book official quickly warned us to break it up. We could get a $10,000 fine for getting physical, but I remained in the spot. As the bell went off, I became a wild animal. I normally stood at the back of the pit and carefully calculated option values and took small bites out of large orders that looked over or undervalued. But this time I bought and sold every series. I was screaming, waving my hands, buying and selling as fast as I could write tickets. The pit thought that Rich Friesen had lost his mind and gone berserk. But that year I went on to make $650,000, and for years after that. It turned out that I had an internal limiting thermostat set at $200,000. I was fighting my own brain. The voice in the middle of the night represented that limit. But once expressed, I realized that it did not apply to who I was anymore. I took that capital and started building an options and equity trading firm. Some of my traders used my strategies and started to make money, but as mentioned, some didn't quite make it. And that's when I brought in the hypnotherapist to help out. Questions or comments? Danny, Rich Friesen, OG of the options pit? Yes, that is me. Questions or comments again are appreciated, and we'll move on as you have them. So we have a perfect laboratory of what happens when people earn more money than their thermostat settings. Here's a list of athletes and lottery winners that went broke, lost everything, or went bankrupt. Ed Curry, 60 million. Latrell Sprewell, 62 million, broke. John Daly, 60 million. Scott Iyer, 10 million, broke. Darren McCartney, 10 million. John Reese, 20 million, broke. Kenny Anderson, 60 million. George Best, 100 million, broke. Mike Tyson, 300 million to $700 before he came back. In addition to sports, we have the lottery, which provides money beyond the recipient's identity and their thermostat. Kelly Rogers was 16-year-old. She won $3 million in a British lottery. 6 years later, cash disappeared on spending sprees. She dropped $400,000 on cocaine. She says, quote, "Winning the lottery has ruined my life. I wished I had never won." Winning what was then the nation's largest lottery payout in 2002 proved to be the start of Jack Whittaker's grief. He lost his granddaughter, Brandy, to a drug overdose when she was 17. His wife filed for divorce, and his daughter was found dead in her home. Edwards won 41 million Powerball and took home 27 million in August of 2001. 6 years later, the money was gone. Edwards was evicted from a storage unit that he was living in. Michael Carroll turned up to collect his $50 million wearing an electronic offender's tag. 8 years later, having blown all that money on drugs, gambling, and thousands of prostitutes, Michael is practicing for a return to his old job as a garbage collector. These are just examples, but let's look at the bigger picture. Most modern lottery winners are in financial trouble with 5 years. Previous estimates show that 78% of NFL players are broke or financially stressed after retirement. Normally, our money thermostats prevent us from making more money than our thermostat is set for. I have a close relative whose thermostat is set at 0. He once made some videos that paid a percentage of royalties that earned more money than he was used to. He found a way to cancel the contract. When you make more than your thermostat is set for, you'll lose it. And if you don't change the setting, then it will look like an equity curve with sudden drops. This setting is often an unconscious routine in the brain. Now, here's the problem. Trading is so powerful. You can make so much money once your strategy is clear and your execution is seamless that some traders fall in the same trap as lottery winners and sports figures. Here's the problem for us as traders with internal wealth thermostats set lower than our conscious goals. For example, if you put on a trade that has a 50-50 chance of success that risks $500 to make $1,000, now that's a pretty good bet. But what if your thermostat was set to $250? What happens when the open trade starts to make more money than that? Unless we reset our thermostat, we tend to self-sabotage. We start worrying about losing money and take profits too soon, which is one of the number one issues traders face. The 50-50 bet now becomes a $500 risk for a $250 profit. When I was building my trading firm, one of the new traders on the floor wanted to quit after making $10,000 in a single morning. It was one of those rare days that the market was pouring money into our trading accounts. You have to take advantage of those days because the market will also deliver a series of days where it wants to deplete your account at the same rate. But this trader had surpassed his internal profit limit. I told him that I was going to zero out his account for the day, and he was starting over with no profits. That temporary fix allowed him to keep trading. We then worked on his internal limits later. In order to explore the hidden fears that represent significant loss as you become more and more wealthy, I created the money and value loss exercise. The purpose of this assessment is to raise your awareness of the potential losses you may experience with increased trading profits. What you say? I won't lose anything. Oh my gosh. But your subconscious brain has other ideas. Most of us are at our current wealth level for a good reason. And this exercise is designed to cover that excellent reason. Once we understand what we lose, we can then apply our mind muscles exercises to adjust the internal thermostat settings where appropriate. Now, we all have resistance to self-exploration. So please be gentle on yourself. As you work on this exercise, give yourself the time and attention it requires to uncover these issues. This is where coaching, peer support, or training is especially valuable. Okay, questions. I see we have a comment. What would you say are the 3 mindset issues you've experienced with working with traders? I think that number 1 is our identity. Do we deserve this wealth? Number 2 is, what would we lose if we attain this wealth? This might surprise you, but once we work on this, we've discovered that some people say, oh my God, my relatives will come for me for money. Oh, I've got to figure out taxes. I'm not a detail person or operations person. Oh my God, I'm going to have to, then I'm going to spend money on things. Or, oh, if I make money, I might lose it. And that would be too painful. So what we have is a number of mindset issues that create from our identity, our deserving, the value that we lose when we actually make the money that we dream of. So thank you for that. The third thing is delivering value. This might surprise you, but the clients who come to me are almost all really good people. Some of them want to make money to become philanthropists. Some of them really care about the world and want to make it a better place. We want to do good. In fact, it's amazing how many traders I coach and how many traders who take our courses want to contribute to the world with the money that they make. Most careers, you create a product that makes people's lives better. You provide a service that is valued by your clients. But trading, do you see any positive impact except on your bank account? So the part of ourselves that are really, really good, have a good heart, want to do good in the world, you don't get any reward for trading. Do you have a voice that says, ooh, this is a nasty business, but I justify it, but I'll do good with the money that I make? One way of looking at this in a reframe is, do you feel bad when your team crushes a rival? No, because they belong to the other tribe. We feel no pity. However, when it comes to taking a victory lap when trading, we often rob ourselves of the joy of crushing the opponents. I once put another market maker out of business and did it intentionally. Does this make me a bad person? Do you have the ability to crush the market as your equity grows? One mechanism we use to create guilt is by adopting the pie model of money. In this model, when you have more money, someone else has less, and you subconsciously may feel some guilt. Well, this would be true if the world was a rhubarb pie. Quote, there is a ton of cash in this country, trillions of dollars of it, but it is a finite amount. There's only so much cash, and it's not theirs. Michael Moore is right. At any given moment, there is only so much cash. But Michael Moore is an articulate spokesperson for the one pie money model. Along with Robert Reich, if you listen to his Twitter quotes, it's almost always about how the wealth do not deserve it. If you have this model running as a program in your brain, and that's okay, I'm not trying to change your model of social economic justice. But it is important to know what model you do have. One way to gain awareness is to look at the words and notice your physiological and emotional reactions. As I say each of these phrases, notice any changes in your physical sensations, your feelings, or thoughts. Take a moment to check in with yourself right now to establish a baseline. I'm going to take a deep breath with you. Ah, notice your physical sensations such as breathing, muscle tension, and next notice how you're feeling. Fairness, distributing the wealth, equality, income gaps, wealth distribution, privilege, share the wealth, the 1%, pay their fair share. A different model is the more is more model, not to be confused with the Michael Moore model, which more isn't more. The more value we as a nation deliver to each other, the more wealth we all have. No one loses, everyone wins. The amount of value we can deliver to our family, friends, neighbors, community, and the world is infinite. We don't have the time to go into this model, but it is a model that supports your wealth, your goals, and your desire to contribute to the world and add value to your communities. If you agree with me or not, it doesn't matter. What does matter is that the economic model you have running in your conscious or subconscious will affect your motivation and effectiveness as a trader. This is because, as good people, we don't want to damage others and we want to do good. In my own personal model of economics, when you give someone money for goods or services, you do so because what you receive in return is worth more than the paper money you give them. If someone gives you money for goods or services, the money is worth more than the services that you're delivering. In fact, both receive more value for the transactions than you give up. When you make money honestly, you are delivering more value to your community and society than you're receiving. The more money you make, are you ready for this? I'm going to repeat this. The more money you make, the more value you have delivered. That's right. The more money you make, the more value you have delivered. Think of money as certificates of appreciation. Our job is to collect as many certificates of appreciation as possible. This allows us the joy and pride associated with our wealth. When you look at your growing bank account, you'll feel a surge of pleasure because it keeps score of the value you have delivered to the marketplace. Just as an aside, as my Twitter feed, Robert Reich, the former Secretary of the Treasury, always talks about wealthy people. They don't deserve it. They have more. They're making more money than others. But totally missing the point that they have delivered more value than, and that has been the foundation of their wealth. Now, of course, we're all humans. There's fraud, there's deceit, there's people who cut corners, and we understand all that, that the world is a sloppy place. But to just look at wealth disparities and then to disparage them because of the difference does not take into account the value that wealthy people deliver. Does this sound strange? Does this, as I say this, does it give you some discomfort? Well, the pie model of economics deserves a pie in the face. If you want to stop fighting your brain as a trader, it is absolutely okay to thrive, to make money, and guarantee your financial future. So, as traders, the challenge is, how do we deliver value to the marketplace? Because when we deliver a good or service, we can see the improvement in somebody else's lives. But as traders, this is more difficult. So what we all know is we contribute to price discovery. And we know that a uniform price, when available to all, increases the efficiency of the markets, and they would drop off significantly. Without traders, the last price would be way out of date. Liquidity. You need to sell? Do you need to buy? It's absolutely no problem. Even if organic buyers and sellers are not available, a trader will fill your order. Do we reduce volatility? Counter trend traders will look for overbought, oversold markets to put a cap on those market extensions. So, how is trading a sustainable business? Well, it's sustainable because we add value and we add value to the marketplace. And as a result, we add to the economy. And we do this by constantly moving price to value. I know that adding liquidity to the market is of value, but I believe that the information you add to the market is of greater value. If you go long and the market goes up, you've done the market a service. You have moved the price, even if just a teeny weeny bit, towards value. And the market says, "Oh, Rich, you just moved the market closer to value in that moment. Here, let me pay you. Let me reward you with some profits." If, on the other hand, you go long and the market goes down, you've moved the price of the market away from value. And the market says, "Uh-oh, Rich, you just moved the market away from value." That's okay, but you have to pay a price for giving the market bad information. What you're doing as a trader is continually giving the market information. Successful traders give the market excellent information and are rewarded handsomely. Unsuccessful traders give the market bad information and they have to pay a penalty for that. I want you to think of yourself as adding value by being in the information business. And this is why trading is sustainable and a career for the long term. There is a reason why the market pays you money. There is a reason why you are adding value to the economy. There is a reason for you, with intention and skill, to build your trading practice. The markets are a complex, adaptive system. They have existed since early man traded meat for bread. They have evolved and refined over time, but they exist and survive through an evolutionary process. Accept that. No guilt. Make money. Be happy. You don't need to justify your success as a trader. This is indeed the elephant in the room. Most traders are unprepared to fully own their success and live with consistent growing profits. Their deeply rooted survival brain finds a clever way to avoid success and sabotage their equity curve. So, what stops you from making the amount of money you want? What are the chains that you have around your own treasure chest? You may have a great strategy, the right tools, the right equipment, and yet you haven't reached the profit levels you want. Now, I want you to give some thought to answer a couple of questions. First, are you ready to let go of your wealth constraints? Are you ready to enthusiastically embrace your identity as a successful, wealthy trader? I'll give you a moment. Mind Muscle's core foundation is rapport. Rapport with our internal biases, beliefs, values, and identity. Rapport with the markets, rapport with our family, rapport, rapport with our fellow employees, and rapport with the world at large. Excuse me a minute while I take a drink. Ah, I invite you to a path that ends the internal struggles around money and wealth and that limit the growth of your equity curve. To introduce you to a more rapport with money and success, here's a coupon that'll give you a free access to my $100 online course, Conversations with Money, the book companion exercises. For example, we do the 3-chair exercise. In this exercise, we set up 3 chairs. One is yourself, one is money itself, and one is a wise observer. And we start to have conversations. For the traders I work with, you would be amazed in watching these conversations happen and to see what comes up from the deepest depths of our being. We have expanding your awareness in chapter 9, set instructions, and this is sensations, emotions, and thoughts, and the quality of them. As you become aware of them in real time, you can unleash your equity curve. The economic collapse is coming from you. This is analysis of our economic situation. How good are you at hard analysis of this text? And this will give you a sense of your deeper economic beliefs about the economy and the politics. Certificates of appreciation. I mentioned this earlier, that when we make money, we are receiving not just money, but certificates of appreciation for making the world a better place, even as a trader. The money speech. This is from Ayn Rand. How does this feel when you read it? What is your analysis? Hidden anchors to wealth. There is an assessment here that you can uncover some resistance and why you can't actually improve your equity curve, why it drops off suddenly. Capital for a better future for our children, which is to relish the money we make. A wealth identity exercise. As we mentioned, the deepest part of our changes of our behaviors is rooted in our identity. This helps you improve your identity. Money and value loss. Oh my gosh, what would we lose if we were successful? I know you're all laughing, saying, I wouldn't lose anything. That would be great. But 70% of the people I work with, in fact, have some losses. To recognize these losses is important so you can deal with them. We have trauma from the past, messages of money from our family. We have a culture. So how do you re-raise yourself? How do you create a new identity for yourself by looking at the traumas of the past? Excuse me. And creating your value vision board. Michael Filigera, I can personally attest to the 3-chair exercise. It is an incredible, insightful tool to understand your money mind. I can highly recommend A Private Conversation with Money. It's a compelling read. Well, thank you, Michael. And if I could say, Michael and I have worked together in the past, and his work on chart reading and his cycles that he helps teach is just wonderful. What was the author you mentioned? The author is Rich Friesen. That's me. And the book is A Private Conversation with Money. So, how can I support you as a trader? How can I support you in a way that works best for you? Well, a brief conversation can help out. And if you would like a brief conversation, you can email me and Rich at mindmuscles.com, or you can schedule it at this address, http, oh, that should be an S on there, ://rich.youcanbook.ycb.me. But if you don't have these URLs, don't worry about it. Rich at mindmuscles.com is the valuable one to work on because once you email me, then we can see what you need and direct you more positively. So please email me if you miss any support options and you want to follow up. Who did you just mention regarding ChartWorks? That was Michael Filigera. And if you do a Google search for him, or Michael, if you want, you can put something, contact information in the chat window, and I'll rebroadcast it. What is the biggest piece of advice you would like to share with traders? Oh, that is the golden keys. First is awareness. Second is acceptance of what we learn. If we judge ourselves for what we discover in our subconscious, that becomes another difficult layer. And third is agency. That is, we become, as we increase our awareness in real time. For example, when I'm coaching a client in real time while they're trading, they never, ever, not once have gone off the rails, canceled a stop, taken profits too quickly. Why? Because I'm continually inviting them to their highest level of agency. So a concise bit of advice is, first, become aware of real time, and we have set scores, sensations, emotions, and thoughts. Become aware of those in real time. Second, accept what you discover. And thirdly, become an agent, having the capability of turning that awareness into choice. Danny says, there is no sustainable way one can make money until they resolve their identity issues. Danny, that is so concise and so well spoken. Thank you. Anne asked, did I miss the place to go for the discount for the book, for the Money Mind code? The discount is for the online course, and it'll tell you how to get the book. And that is, did you miss it? Let me go back. Oh, did I not put that in here? Let's see. I think I sent it to David, but if you missed it, no worries. Just rich@mindmuscles.com, and I will set you up with whatever you need. rich@mindmuscles.com, and I will set you up with, there's just so much ways we can support you, from free blogs to courses to personal coaching. So there we go. Free online money course. David just put it in there. Thank you. The free trader assessment is there. It's in the chat window. So those are the places you can go, and also rich@mindmuscles.com. So any other questions or comments before we go? We have 7 minutes left. Shell says, good presentation, Rich. Thanks. Well, you're very welcome. For me, there's nothing more thrilling to see a trader unlock that treasure chest. Just go, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And feel free for the first time in their trading career to unlock their equity curve and to own and have the identity as a wealthy trader. T. Downey says, excellent, great. Thank you, Rich. All you said was to the point. What is Michael's? It's Michael Filigera. That's, if I can spell it, Filighera. Anyway, there it is. Filighera. It's Michael Filigera. A lot of respect for that man. He's traded all over the world. He's traded on the floor of the Pacific Exchange with me. He's helped me produce some courses. So full respect for Michael. Ann says, I appreciate it, as I had a business coach for years as a realtor, and I think I need one for this as well. Thank you for the golden nuggets today. Danny says, Michael is a frequent guest at Timing Research. Yes, indeed. So thank you all so much. It's really a pleasure to be here to say what I think. I miss the interactions of that's in a webinar because it's really great just to interact. But if you want to set up a time to talk to me, rich@mindmuscles.com, and we'll set a time to do that. So thank you so much. Have a wonderful time. And I look to your growing equity curve as you step into your identity as a wealthy, successful trader.